Hey, hey, hey! Top of the morning to you. Had to run back to my chair. I just heard my camera shut off right in the middle of that thing. It just wires are going, everything. Hey, I'm Michael here, and grandkids call me Roo. And let me just make sure everything's back together. I have been doing 25 projects at once. I'm not complaining, but it has got me in. I feel like Wilbur and Orville in a tailspin. And I love it. There's something about creatively, it makes your adrenaline just pop. And I tell folks it's sort of like when you're sitting there like this and the on air sign comes on. And this is kind of like that a little bit. It's like, whoa, you got 3 seconds. You go, gee, did that camera just shut down? So you tear across the studio and back. It's not that far. It's just over there. I can see my banjo sitting over there. Banjo cam. Hey, let me say good morning to some of you. Thanks for being on the show today. Let me make sure all my facilities are working here. There's the there's Rue, there's my bug out bag, and there's an artist tile. Let's see, had a painting here that I usually keep on my desk, but you see I'm just kind of scattered all over creation. Here it is right here. Always have one of these, you know, it's showtime. That makes my adrenaline pump. So I'm glad to have you here this morning. Thanks for being here on Roodoodles. Hey, it's a busy week. As of Friday the 13th, coming up this Friday, it's the Roodoodles live auction. I've been feeding the kitty down here, and I've got to find the thrown away bunny. It seems to be resonating throughout the land, so I'm just probably going to have to paint another one and put him in the auction. And somebody remind me today, well, actually, I think I made a note. Let's see, didn't I make a note? Yes, I did. It says, someone on the show yesterday, and I'm so sorry I didn't write your name down, said 2 things. One, would you auction off another rolling pin? And the answer is most certainly. I'll go get one out of Carol's closet. She's got a closet full of rolling pins, and I'll paint a rooster on one, and we'll put it in the auction. And then someone said, could you help me today? I'm trying to do a gift for someone, a special someone in my family, and I'd love to see you paint a fishing fly and give me an idea on how to do that. So I'm going to do that this morning for you. So if you're painting along. But let's see. Patricia Deaton, thanks for being on the show. Irma Burton, yes. Lynn Minor, as in a key, a minor key. You know what happens if you drop a piano down a mine shaft, right? You get A flat minor. I need to have that one. I need to probably just. I need to probably have a drum, a drum hit here somewhere for the bad jokes that I come up with. Donna Bullman, thanks for being on the show. Donna Sell Barton thought of you this morning because I wrote down some rules for a Rube. And Donna can paint gears and elaborate scientific things, and also just engineering like you've never seen. So I thought of you. I'm working on a little Rube. Cindy Wiltermood, thank you for being on the show. Jackie Wallace, Karen Binder, there's me. Hey, good morning to me. Thank you. I said top of the morning to you, all y'all. Deborah Tauber, thanks for being on the show. Let me turn the music down just a tad more. John Robert Small, good morning, Palette Princess, he says to someone who, John Robert Small, as I've gotten to know him through email, and John, still haven't flashed up a picture, but I'm going to, of your painting. I'm holding it, man. Carol loves this painting. It's already found its way. I got a coffee cup from John Robert Small, and it's just spectacular. And it's acrylic, and it's just, the man can make acrylics pop. I love it very much. But he, like me, is there's some wiring that's loose sometimes up there, and I say that in a oh my gosh, just such a endearing way. It's a fun thing when you can look at you and look at everybody else and say, I don't have to be like everybody else. I don't have to paint like everybody else. I don't have to talk and walk, and I just can be me. And that is a pretty cool way to be. So Thank you, sir. The Cowboy Coffee from Veracruz checking in. Denise Albright from Exeter, California. Is it Exeter? Exeter? I don't know how to pronounce that really. So I don't get out much. Actually, I do, but I don't pay much attention. Maybe. I think that's more what Carol would say. Deborah Spangler, June Jones, thanks for being on the show. Denise Albright, oh, here you are again. Annette Henson says, hello, fellow bidders. Annette loves auction. She's made her popcorn weeks ago. She's going to probably caramelize it, I think. I'm just kidding. Dolores Boland, thank you for being on the show. Skeeter says we can start now. He's here. Lisa Bright, Sue Kane, all the way from South Australia. Love having you on the show. Love your artwork. Janice Scott, Kyle Dixon. Kyle is one of those guys who just has his own sense of humor, and he puts it out there, and some of you get it, and some of you go, explain it to me, Lucy. I don't get it. I love it. Bob Hendrick from the Zippity Doodah cornfields of Iowa. My, oh my, it's a beautiful day. Pat Brooks, thank you for having you on your show always. Pat is a marvelous artist. Pat, it was fun taking Noodle, Doodle, Fiddle to the folks at Cheap Joe's and up in Boone and giving them a copy and saying, take a look at this. And they loved it. And one of the artists behind the desk who works there, actually behind the counter, she said, y'all take the tour. I want to look at this book. And she went through it and all. I said, look, these are done by hand. This is how she interpreted this. And they were loving it. So thank you so much. The book is out there. It's on Amazon.com. You can order it from Amazon.com and get that thing in a heartbeat. If you still order it from Pat or I, it's going to take a little longer because it has to come through the mail to us and it has to come back to the mail to you. And good luck on getting things through the mail. But I just mailed off 3 more. 2 got lost. 1 showed up late, but they're all arriving. So I'm pretty excited. Noodle, Doodle, Fiddle, it's on Amazon.com. It's that book. Which I'd love to show you a copy if I had a copy up here, but I took this copy. I've got some more coming in right now. They're actually shipped to me. I took this copy that I kept on the desk and took it to Cheap Joe's. Nope, there's one copy right there. Have one right. Noodle, Doodle, Fiddle. Rules written by yours truly and illustrated by Pat Brooks, P.L. Brooks, as she goes by on the show. And it's just great little reminders. Look, these remind you of the show. These will sort of tell you about some of my life and also how I got into why this is an important saying, not just in painting and art, even though they mention art, but this is the art of life. What is it that sets you apart, okay? What makes you tick? Why do you do what you do? It's finding balance. It's knowing when to lay the brush down. It's being consistently inconsistent. And inconsistently consistent. And people look at that and they go, well, that's just ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense. But when you read through it, you'll see that, yeah, all of my captions have a little zinger at the end. I hope they do. Something that'll make people go, oh, I get it. Or, oh, wow. And so that's kind of why those happen. And don't be afraid to spill paint. And you ought to have friends close enough to you that every 3 minutes or so, if you're telling a story, somebody ought to say, hey, what's the burning issue here? You're taking so many rabbit trails like I do on this show, right? And you hang with me. God bless you for doing that. And thanks for sharing the show. Everything is fodder for a story. Everything. Joe Miller and I couldn't get through a paragraph without one of us saying, well, story breeds another story. Yep. Well, let me tell you one about so-and-so. As I walked down his art gallery in his store, with him and Megan, he would stop and say, oh, look, let me tell you about this right here. Let me tell you about when Bob was here and painted this, or when she was here and painted this, or Lee and Zen. We talked about Lee and Zen and my coming there and meeting him. And he had a story on every one of those. They're stories. It's the whole thing I talked to you about yesterday about journals. If you shoot a photograph, you go, that's a nice photograph. But if you sketch it, through your head, out your shoulder, down across your pen, your pencil, your brush. You remember the salt in the water. You remember what you ate. You remember the smell, the lift of your teacup and of your coffee or tea. It's what happens. We're involved. The olfactory lightens up and goes, remember that smell you were smelling while you were painting this? Yeah, someone over on the way was grilling waffles or was making waffles, and you smelled those coming from the griddle that morning. Everything is a story. Okay, so that's the book, Noodle, Doodle, Fiddle, Piddle. And the other book that's really doing is fun and doing well is my coloring book. And I know there's some kids out there with some, and I took one of those up too for Megan's kids. And I have to send her another one because she has 2 children, and one of them is just not at the age of coloring fine line. But said, hey, look, I'll send them one anyway because I want Bryson to jump in there and color. And so he's still coloring a little bit like we start, with our crayons, holding them like we're fighting a war somewhere. Chris Whitaker, thanks for being on the show. Kelly Berger, Gene Anthalzer. Good morning, Jason Nicholas. Glad to have you on the show. Jennifer Parker from North Dakota. Ooh, baby. Where summer is over, I'm sure. Catherine Brousseau, good morning to you. Nancy Catlett. Carol Todd Mundy, thank you. Amy Roche. Sue Kane again. Michelle Mace. Lori Stanley Henderson. Miss Carla, thanks for being on the show. Today I want to make plum jam and paint a rosy plum. And painting fruit is always good. You can put it there in the light. You look at the contrast. You put the concept together. And here's the thing. Remember, I say this often. If the painting is not turning out too well, you can simply say that fruit is rotten. But if you just get tired of painting, you can just eat the fruit. And so there's lots of reasons why you should use fruit as still life to paint first. I guess you could do the same thing with bourbon. It's Christmas in South Africa. Susie DeLay, thanks for being on the show. Nancy Manners from Coastal Alabama. Is it Manners? Manners, 1 N. Nancy, welcome to the show from Coastal Alabama. Elaine Walker, Jimmy Jensen. Terry Tardy, talked about you yesterday, and I don't think you're on the show, but I did tell Cheap Joe's that I did tell him that Andrew's Turquoise, we call it, you betcha, there it is right there, Andrew's Turquoise, we call it Terry Tardy Turquoise on the show. And he goes, oh man, that's funny. I said, one of these days I'm going to have my Rue colors. We laughed about it, but I'm serious. Okay, Brenda Sprinkle Tucker, good morning to you. Lana Couch, thanks for being on the show. Preview of auction items, Annette getting pumped up. A preview. Okay, I'll paint one this morning. It's going to be in the auction, and I might look through a little before the end of the morning. Let me just make myself a note here. So anyway, I'm going to jump ahead here. Donna Buckley. Can I just say, Donna, who goes by the code name on this show of Payne's Gray. She loves it. Anytime I do Payne's Gray, she's like, wow, Payne's Gray, Terry Tardy, Payne's Gray. And maybe that should be, I'm in Payne Gray, but it's Payne's Gray. Donna sent me a book. That's a cute little book. And that I actually saw in a bookstore and didn't purchase, so I'm glad to have it in my collection. And it really has a great philosophy of painting in it. And so before the show's over, I'll tell you about that, I think, and show you that. Hey, welcome to the informal, informative, incisive, incandescent, incomparable, indescribable, but humble little radio show, which people say, do you paint ever? Or do you just story tell? And I go, yes. So there it is right there, okay? Bert Crone, thanks for being on the show. Leah Swin, hope you got your mailings. They left here a while back. Mary Lou Mahaffey, it's mailed book rate probably, and I think the painting of the dragonfly is inside the book, but it's on its way to you. I know that for sure. Ricky Govers, maybe you asked me about the fish and fly, and I'm so sorry. And Andy, thanks for sending me an email. You won yesterday. You won the little palette. And by the way, it's here, so it'll leave today. Take a look. I put colors in it. There it says, Enjoy from Rue. And there they are. I dropped a little drop of colors in there, and I labeled them in the lid. There they are. You've got Gamboge. I labeled them this way. You've got Red Hot Mama. You got Sap Green. You got some Ultramarine Blue. You have some of that Raw Umber Violet, and you have a little spot of Junebug. I figured you could put these three together and get a black if you wanted it, or a charcoal, so you'd be fine there. So there's your little tin coming to you, and it's in a little bag somewhere. If I could find the bag, the reason it's here. Oh, here it is right here. It's going to come in a little bag like this right here, because I picked this up at Cheap Joe's in Boone. Boop, American Journey. So there it is right there. And it says, yeah, there's your name right there. I wrote it on the tag. So all this that'll be shipped out to you today. And along with Kim Sheets was on the show and her brushes. Loose wiring, loose sketching, and painting. Yeah, Jason, we know about having a wire loose, buddy. Okay, you do a great job. Annette says, we've been in the auction business for 40 years. Got to show some people a little bit. I know that's where she's leading. Exeter. Exeter is how you pronounce it. Exeter, California, Exeter. I've been living here and I've never been able to get out. So there's no Exeter here. I got it. Okay. Thank you, Exeter. Kim Stokes, good morning to you. Pat Normandale. Wow, so many people on the show this morning. Let me get busy here. I got to work. So here we go. Put on a little music, and I'm going to paint a fishing fly just right here. And I'm going to use some slicker paper today just to show you. This is a Bristol tile. You see it says artist tiles. Well, it's made out of Bristol board. Bristol board, I don't know, what's the weight? The weight is 100 pounds, okay? Oh my gosh, Cheap Joe Miller told me a funny story. He said, he got a lady who said, and it was a serious note. She said, we're suing you. My husband and I are suing you because I've been an artist for a long time. And which is always, you have to preface the fact that I've been an artist for a long time. No one else maybe recognizes it. Well, I'm just making all the fun stuff here. So be careful what you say. Look, when people ask me if I'm an artist, what do I say? No, but I think like one. That gives me this greatest resonant smile grace that you've ever seen. If I come in and I'm holding my pencil and pen like this and I say, of course I'm an artist, and I've been one for 35 years, that people go, well, so? Or they go, well, impress us, knucklehead. But if I come in and I go, people say, oh, are you an artist? And I go, no, but I think like one. It's not false humility. It's just making the ground level and people go, oh my gosh. And then you can doodle all you want and have fun with it. You're just thinking like an artist. It allows it to drip into the conversation. It allows you to be free and sketch with a pen and just say, yeah, I should have done that over here. But it doesn't matter. What matters is you get the story in the art. We're not doing art for the Smithsonian. And if we were, I've been to the Smithsonian lots of times, and I've been to the National Art Galleries in New York and Paris and Washington, D.C. And I'll tell you something. There's some art in there that you go, I hope that guy was thinking like an artist because he doesn't look like one of the masters to me. But that's my opinion. But they don't care. It's in there because it had a story behind it that put it in there. So she sent Joe a note and said, we're suing you because your company lied to us. We ordered 300-pound paper, and when we got there, when it came to us, it didn't weigh 15 pounds of all the paper we ordered. It wasn't 300 pounds of paper at all. And everybody, and it was like, no, it's 300-pound paper because it's thick and it's the cord, it's the finish on it, it's the weight of the paper itself. It's not 300 pounds of paper. Those of you who've been artists for all your life, so this is 100 pound. It's kind of like having a piece of cardstock that you would put in your copy machine. That's about 100 or 120 pound. 140 pound is what most of us as watercolor artists know. 140 pound rough surface would be cold press. 140 pound slick surface would be hot press. This is Bristol board. Bristol board is good art board. If you really want paint to roll around and move, and this has a vellum surface, so it'll hold on to the colors a little bit, and then they'll sort of flatten in. And I'll show you. I'm going to paint a fly on it. So here we go. Okay, you guys are, wish I weighed 200 in paper weight. Jason, you're not right. Okay. All right, here we go. So let's see. Let's sketch this fishing fly with something. Let me put on some fishing fly music. Here we go. Put that on. Let me just grab a little pen, And if I were you and you hadn't done one of these before, I'd probably start with a pencil. I lost my camera, didn't I? What happened? What happened to my camera? Ratzola. Yeah, my camera just went kaput. All right, let's try this again. Hold on. Hello, freeze up here. Rats. Hang on 1 second. Death shot. Okay, I got to do a reset. So time out if you can still hear me. Oh no, I'm coming back. Hang on. Don't know what happened, but give me just a second if I can get my cameras back. There we go. One's come back on. Time for me to order a new piece of equipment today. All right, so I got one camera out, but that's okay. You can see the desk anyway. I'll get that other camera on. I hear you talking, but your lips aren't moving. Well, I'm not in politics then. Okay, here we go. I think you can see the desk now. I'll see if that camera will pop back on. I'll restart it in just 1 second. But let's see. What I was going to do first is just if you're going to paint with a fishing fly. Time to rewire my studio, I think. I've got a wire loose for sure. All right, so here we go. Could you show us a shot of all the equipment it takes to create your show? I bet it's a lot. Yes, it is a lot, actually. Actually, it's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces of equipment that I use to do this show. That's not too bad. Okay, here we go. So I start with a pencil if you're going to do a fish and fly. And by the way, you can find a book that's fishing flies if you want to. I moved one out here so you might see what one looks like. Let's see. Is this it? No. Here we go. I do have this book, and I used this book when I was tying fishing flies, and I didn't even remember that I had it until last week when I was cleaning out my office. I think I showed it even last week. And so, how to hatch, make your own creations. And so it's got some good art in it. In fact, there's a beautiful fly right here that someone's painted. Most of these are photographs. Like these are photographs. That's a great little fly right there. It's called the gray hackle peacock. So why don't we just do that one? I just flipped it right there. But look, this is how to hold the fly, how to wind the fly. Really kind of cool. But most of it's all in black and white just simply because it's tying flies. And so I did that for a while. My goal is to tie 3 flies, catch fish on each one, and then say, yeah, I've done that. I like it. It didn't hook me as it didn't hook me as a long-term hobby. I made myself laugh, and I didn't even know I was going to do that. It didn't hook me. So take a look at this right here. That'll give us a little something to go by. So it's fine to look at a picture and just get an idea. The hook part's kind of down. You can see it. You can't really see the open eye. You see a lot of fuzzy, frilly, whatever there on it. I'm just going to put some of that in there. Look, I might just wind up keep using this. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm gonna zoom in on this just a little bit here. Here we go. Let me get this right over here. And let me see if I can get a focus right there. Let me hit a focus on this and see if it'll come in just a little bit. Let me lay the pencil down on it, and that might help me focus it right there. Not too much. Okay, let's try the orange cap on this pen. That generally works pretty well. All right, that's a little better right there. You can see a little of this. Just what I'm doing, I'm looking at this fishing fly right here. See that? It's called a gray hackle peacock. The hackle, everybody's excited about making fishing flies out of hackles except the rooster, because they come from right up here on the rooster. And he's saying like, hey, let the hackle alone. Get the hackle out of here. Quit hackling me. Okay. All right. So there's this little bitty pencil sketch I'm doing. And I don't do this always because I just kind of go rip-roaring off into space. But the hooks aren't what you think. Look, everybody thinks you draw a fish hook like this. So just draw, get yourself a piece of scrap paper. That's what I use all this stuff for. Don't ever throw these away. A hook isn't a perfect U. It's not that at all. It's elongated sweep back, okay? So it might start here, and then it might come around, and then it might shorten off on this side, or it might come around and bend back up this way. So it isn't like taking a half out of a circle. So if you're doing it, work on the tip of your hook a little bit. It's going to be a little thicker here at the top than it is when it comes around and goes here, okay? And it's got a little bit of a bend out in it. Look at this. This part comes off, and then it starts to make its turn, okay? So take a look at the way the hook's made, and it kind of come in there and come down like this, and then you're going to come around and flatten that out a little bit. And that's a pretty good little hook right there. Okay, so that gives you an idea of what I might do with a pencil. And then I'm going to say, well, do I want the ink to bleed on this or not? Well, on the body of it, after I dropped my fountain pen in the dirt, rats, sorry. What I want to do is I want to add some green in here, but I do want a little bit of this black to grip in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do some of these thread lines in here like this. And just look, I'm not rhyme or reason. Everything is not matchy-matchy. Don't think you got to do this. I got to get all these space. You don't even do that when you tie a fly. The bugs, you just want to just kind of cross-hatch some of this in there. But me, I'm not cross-hatching it too thick because I'm going to come in and put in a color. So I'm just putzing around here a little bit. But I do want a couple little black threads longer coming down like this here, okay? And I'm gonna put some white ones in there too, but okay, so, and I've got a little more fluff on the fanny part of this bee than this bug than I do in the middle, this fly. And then I might come in, and some of you use micron pens. Those are great to use for this. Here's a little micron pen that I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna do the head of the pen, head of the fly coming down like this. And the reason I'm gonna do that is because I don't know what kind of music I'm listening to here. It's gotten kind of wacko on me. All right, so you see what I'm building up? Now, it doesn't look like that yet, but it's going to when I get creative with some colors here. I'm going to grab my palette, wet it down just a little bit, maybe just a little. I know I'm going to need green. I know I'm going to need a little touch of red. I know I'm going to need some titanium white. And I might as well just wet the whole mess down. Splash some blue in there too. So I'm just going to come in with a small little pen and look at this, or brush. And right now I'm going to use a number 1 interlock nylon American Journey. There it is right there. You can't see it focused, but maybe eventually it'll come into focus. And it's a rigger brush, R-I-G-G-E-R. And rigger brushes are fabulous for painting lines, not lines in the Safari, line, L-I-N-E-S, okay? All right, so those are great for that. All right, so a little bit of water on that brush, and I'm going to come in with that green. What kind of color green was that? I just flipped the page and lost it. Lordy, lordy. This is why I don't teach watercolor painting. Oh, wait. All right, so it's a little emeraldy looking green. And then I'm just going to come in here and dance some of these feathers right in on that black. And so what? If that pen bleeds into it, I'm going to get a little bit of a darker green anyway. See how that's kind of happening right there? And I'm just letting that dance right in like this. And that's going to come on back just a little bit. There's going to be a little bit. You're losing it here just a tad because there's a little bit of white glisten right up there. So I'm just going to bounce in there like that. That's a great green for that fly. Man, that looks fabulous, huh? I like it. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. All right. So then I've got this gray, green, white. And I'm just going to punch it in like this right here. Let it sort of pop in there. This is that French gray I'm using, but I'm going to go right here in my palette. Can you see where I'm reaching? And right on this edge of this block right here, there's some buff titanium there, but there's also just a little bit of, I don't use this very often, titanium white. And I'm just going to pop some of that in there. And then I'm just going to let some of that slide back over the green. And maybe even right in here to just lighten that flow up a little bit. Look, do you think this is going to look exactly like that? No, heck no. Thank you for correcting the camera angle. Yeah, you're welcome. Takes me a while, Pat, but I get there. Somebody asked me about equipment, and I didn't know where I was anyway. Now, the problem that I have this morning is that I've just thrown my brush down and can't find it. Some days are like this. Okay, so I'm still using this little bitty rigger brush, and I'm going to grab some red here, and it's kind of a red-orange, so I'm just going to punch a little of this red right in here with this gamboge underneath my face right there. See it? And I'm mixing that up a little bit just to get some deep red-orange, and then I'm just going to pull this brush back like this and just give it these quick little bursts. Just let them race back like this, and that's where that rigger brush really comes in handy. And do I put more than they have? Sure, because I wanted a few more. And I put a little piece of red thread right there too. And then what I might do is to give that feather a little bit of life. Maybe I'll come in with my fountain pen like this. And then I'll just go down here and touch some little hackle black marks in there like so. And then we'll come back in and throw a little thread in the middle right here. A little thread there. Put some of those in here like this. What I might do is just wind a little bit of thread on the end like this, like it's been tied in a knot, and pull that down. And so suddenly I have this big bottomed fishing fly that's got a lot of beautiful green in it, and I'm going to touch a little more of this light green right in here like this, just boost up his shoulders a little bit. Is that like the one in the picture? No, I quit looking at the picture a long time ago. Now I'm just painting by by what I like. I wanted him to be a little bolder and bushier, and so that's kind of how I got into that. Okay. All right, so there's the fishing fly for you. Now, what I might do if I wanted some atmosphere around it, I might take my bamboo brush and I might just drop in a little water. Remember, I'm painting on Bristol board here that has a lot of vellum surface on it. So I'm going to grab some of this blue, drop it in just like so, just in here like this. And then I might just grab that, maybe drop a little water on top of that like so, splatter. And just give it a blue splash like that, and that'll give you some of this it's come up out of the water, or there's a splash coming in from down here. Maybe this is where the stream is going and the fly's going in to address the fish. Hey, Mr. Fish. What I might do is come in here and just touch this. Notice I didn't even erase my pencil marks. I might come in here and just touch this with a black pen. Come back with my little, remember, it's called a rigger brush, and this is a number 1. I have a number 3 here on the desk somewhere that I keep. Let's see, I think this is it right here. There's a number 3 rigger brush. They got beautiful long, these are just nylon. If you were doing a pinstripe on something, you could do it with that. So there's a little example of how you might do a fishing fly. Don't get all out of sorts if you don't know exactly where you're going with it, for heaven's sakes. Just have some fun. I'm going to take that one right there, and I like it. It might be turned this way. It might be turned this way. You might frame it upside down. Who knows what you might do. The point is, and I'm going to do one on another piece of paper. I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to do one on a piece of Kilimanjaro 140-pound, remember, that's the paperweight, 140-pound rag cotton paper, rough paper, okay? Coal. All right. Splatter with an aqua. Yes. My fishing fly just turned into a skyline. I think I have an issue. I get it. A skyline. Maybe you're trying to catch buildings, Jason. You need a skyline to do that, okay? All right. And you need a sky hook too. Everybody knows what a sky hook is. Okay, so let me show you another one here, and I'll just do this one with the pen, and we'll do it down the other way. There's the head on the piece, and we're going to bring it down like this. Now I'm going to draw a skeleton in this one so you can sort of see how it comes down. Here's the hook coming down. There it sweeps out, and then it's got a hook coming back this way right here. This part right here kind of is the heavy part of the hook. It all is, but it's all about the same size. And so there's kind of a big heavy mess of a hook, and some thread marks here coming down. And then what I might do here is just come in with this fountain pen, and just like I would if I had this thing on a bobbin, I would just have it in my vise, and I'd just be winding this thread down like crazy, just winding it down and winding it down, and then stop right in here somewhere, winding it down, and then maybe a few of these black threads coming down. I actually like some of these being a little heavier right in here, like so. This is rough on a fountain pen, so this is cold pressed paper, and it can be kind of rough on a fountain pen if you're not careful. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to build that up just a little bit. I'm going to use this number 3, just a little more weight in this. I'm going to go up here and just grab a little bit of red. I'm going to kick out this red shoulder coming back on this fly. All right, and then some of that orange I'm going to kick in right here and tie a knot. And then I'm going to bring that back like so. And let it go down. You see where that's going? This is a cool looking fly already. And is it a fly that some savvy, I'm a fly fisherman for 30 years guy will look at and go, well, that's not a fly you'll catch a fish on? You go, you know what? I'm not trying to catch a fish. I'm trying to catch the eye of people who walk by and say, whoa, that would bring some light to my cabinet. And I'm going to frame that. And I love that very much when that happens. And people go, you know, birds. I didn't know there were fairy wrens until I started looking at Australia. And then our friend Sue Kane sent me a little glass fairy wren. And also I started looking at them, and I'm going like, they are the coolest blues, and just they're just magical looking. They make me want to go over there just to see that bird. And look, I'm letting this pen just sort of float in there like this. I think I want to put a stripe of yellow down in here too. Just boom, blow it out like that. Look at that. That's cool looking. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with this pen and put some feather spots in there. Let's go with this right here. Watch this. And then I'm going to just do some little, I'm turning it up. Remember, I don't have this fastened down. I'm going to turn it up, and I'm just going to put in some little triangles. Why? Well, because feathers are broken on veins, remember? There's enough that you need to live in the real art world to see. And so, now see, I've just lost my pen there for a second. Okay, so that's enough on fishing flies. Just get out there and do 50 of them, and then you'll love them. And there's a nice little long fly coming down off the page. Might come in with a little bit of this white. That brush had a little red in it, so I don't want to get rid of that. Hold on 1 second. And I feel a sneeze coming on, so just bear with me here for 1 second. Some of you dealing with summer allergies, me too, or this is a fall allergy, I don't know, but it's coming on like a freight train. Where's my brush? Here it is. I think I want to touch a little bit of just a little red gray or umber right in there to pick up the black running into that red and just let that just trail off. I think that's how I wanted to do that. And then I'm just going to grab my pen and drag some lines in here like this. I want to see the thread. All right, so now one more brush. Where is it? Back to my number one rigger brush, a little titanium white, and I'm just going to address a couple little threads right in here like this. Little twisted threads where I might have gone over that to just empower the thread if I were tying it. And this is why I never knew when I was tying flies that someday I'd be painting flies, but I thought they were beautiful. And I saw them as art, but I didn't see them as art that I would do. So this has all just happened in the last few years where I've said, okay, I'm going to tie a fishing fly, you know? And then they really go with roosters, huh? No kidding. So that just sort of sneaked up on me. Sneaking. All right, so I think a little white down in this tail would look good too. Just a little white titanium. going back like this. I don't do this much. I usually leave just holidays. Like this is a skip along brush holiday right there. Right there. That's hard to get. All right, so there's a little fishing fly right there. Kind of cool. Sweep back. Got a lot of color. Look good hanging on the wall. Don't even think I'm going to... there's something that just happened on this painting that when I brushed that down, I really love. And it's the shadow of this right here. And it just, I wasn't planning it. I just went zip and let the brush, didn't pick up the brush. And I like the way it took off. Okay. Hey, coming up, so there's fishing flies. Get a book. You don't have to buy a book like this. I think this is kind of an expensive book. No, it's $20, but you got to remember, I had the vise, still have it. I had peacock feathers, rooster hackles. I had all the feathers. Carol gave me parts of this for a Christmas present, and then I got into it, and I'd go in here, and I'd go, and I live on Cahill Street, okay? Cahill. And so I thought, well, the first thing I got to do is learn to tie a Cahill. And so the Cahill is a real fly. And I bought this book because it had a Cahill in it. And it's somewhere here. I don't see it right now, but it'll pop up in a minute. Here it is right here. There's the Cahill right there. That's a little Cahill. And so I live on Cahill Street. And so I thought that'd be fun. Tie Cahill for Cahill and maybe put it in a frame. And there is a fish on my wall, and it's not a real fish, but someday I think I've shown it to you. I'll get it down one day and show it to you. Right now the camera's working, so I better sit still. All right, here we go. Feathers can be so beautiful. My grandmother used to wear a hat covered in pheasant feathers. Yeah. So did Robin Hood. And no, I'm just killing you, but he did have pheasant feathers. And TTT. Yeah, I didn't put any tardy turquoise in this fly. I just didn't think this fly needed it, but love it. Okay, so keep up with those old flies or feathers because they're fun to paint if you get your hands on some. All right, what a shot that was. All right, so let me show you what I started working on this morning. I started working on a rube that I'm going to put in the auction. So this fly, I'll throw this fly in the auction. I'm going to rip it off the page here. This is 140-pound Kilimanjaro paper. There it is right there. Kaboom. And I don't think I'm going to do anything to it except trim it up and just let it stand on its own because it's kind of cool. It's very cool. I might go back and fiddle with it just a little because that's what we all artists do. Put the brush down and back away from this piece of art. Okay. All right. When I'm doing a Rube Goldberg painting, and I had one in mind this morning, I was sitting talking on the phone, and I doodled this little thing right here, just a French press and a funnel and a clock and a little mixing vial and some cream and sugar and a roux waiting, and I thought this would be a great concept for a rube. And Chris Young says, try to put your finger on the paper and flick your brush as far as the little finger will allow you to go. Help your muscle memory to make your line straight. Whoa, that's fantastic. There are all sorts of little tricks that you do. And you notice what I do. That's a great idea, Chris. What I do too is I'll just grab it like this sometimes and I'll just do it with this too. But I'll I'll hold it like this. I'm so sorry. My sinuses. I'll hold it like this. And I'll do the same, but I'll just kind of hit it with this finger and bring it down like that. And so just a little flip. So I get that load up at the top where you touch it, and then it starts to come down like that. And you go, if you try to drag a straight line like this, you tend to go, But if you just let it flip, and that's what she's saying. Everybody has their own little trick. I just pendulum my brush down like this and just sort of start it. Once I touch it, I just sort of bring it down and just let it go zip, zip, zip. So my finger is just not really slamming into it, but it's just making it like that. And that's a good way. But by the way, this brush is made for that. It loads up and lets the very, very fine on the end. It loads up and then lets the paint just roll off the end. So it's kind of nice. You can even probably jump in here now and just grab some little pieces off that. Look at that. Okay, so I could paint a feather with this brush. In fact, I think I am painting a feather with this brush. Okay, so there you go. There's a little spiny feather that just came out of that mess I made, which is fine because that shows the can I go back in and get some more water and keep going with it? I think so. You know, make sure, hey, listen to me. make sure you're playing enough to learn stuff like this, okay? And read what other people have to say. Everybody has helpful hints and comments. So, all right, so here's what I'm going to do. So I had this idea, and I was sitting there, and this is a piece of paper I was going to show you that I just marked all over. So if I wanted to do a rube of something, or I wanted to do connected pieces together, instead of sitting down and wondering if I have the layout and where I go, sometimes I'll do that in pencil. This is the ultimate noodle, doodle, fiddle, piddle. So if you want to know what that means, you noodle the idea, you doodle around with it, you fiddle on it, you piddle until you say, I think I got it, now let's move forward with it. And that's noodle, doodle, fiddle, piddle in a nutshell. That's why the book is called Noodle, Doodle, Fiddle, Piddle. That's your art world. If you're not noodling around, if you're not doodling around, if you're not fiddling and piddling with things, your art will suffer for it. If you just think you're going to get some good brushes and paint and sit down and paint, you might be mistaken. You got a plan. And so for me, I write some things down that I would like in my rube. Like rube, I want a fan. It's crazy how alliteration works for me, but here's a little silly part of it. Are you ready? Okay, take a pinch. Take a note. There's fan and there's funnel and there's foam and there's fun way to stir. Okay? Fan, funnel, note, fun way to stir. Okay? Simple as that. Then there's sugar and saucer and switch. All those are with S. No rhyme or reason. I just thought I want sugar. What else? I want a saucer. I want a saucer. Why? My dad used to saucer his coffee. You know? Isn't there a great story where someone went to see, oh my gosh, was it Winston Churchill or something like that? I'm sorry, I'm going to mess this story up, but it was someone who he was sitting at the table with someone famous, Winston Churchill, I think it was. And he said, would you like some coffee? He said, oh yes. So he noticed that Winston Churchill poured his coffee in his cup, and then he took his saucer and he poured his cream in his saucer. So the guy's thinking, well, I got to know what Winston's. I got to do what Winston's here. I want to be it. So he poured his cream in his saucer. So Winston just sort of looks at him a little bit, and he poured a little cream in his coffee. And he goes, oh, okay, that's weird. And then I don't know why he did that other thing in the saucer, but he poured a little cream in his coffee and he stirred it. And then Winston looks at him funnier. Then he takes his saucer and he puts it on the floor for the cat. And he went, oh, I thought that was part of the way you drink coffee. But my dad would saucer his coffee. Sometimes if it was too hot, he would pour it in a saucer, let it cool. And you drink it out of the saucer. It's not quite mannerly. And the queen wouldn't do it with her finger up. But that's how you do it. So for me, it's I just thought, what I want a fan in there. I want a funnel. I want some foam. I want a fun way to stir the coffee. I wanted sugar and a saucer and a switch of some sort. And then I wrote, I wanted a paddle and I wanted a puddle of some sort. And I wanted a pour. What's the pour? And then I did put cream and cuppa. And then at the end. So for me, I make this little thing. And then as I go through my sketch, I tend to start putting my sketch together based on Grandpa used to share his coffee with his parakeet. I love it. My grandpa used to saucer his coffee. Don't you love it? You know, you'd saucer your coffee a little bit, you know? And you go, yeah, the coffee's too hot to drink out of the cup. And I talked to the printer yesterday about the Rue mugs, and they're still not shipped. We're trying to find this mug. So I'm going to search for this particular mug that the first 100 of you purchased from me. And I'm so grateful. This is the only one I have, so I can handle it with kids' gloves. It doesn't go in the dishwasher. It gets hand washed and hung back up on the rack. Because it's the only one I have left. No kidding. There's none out there. I got a note from my printer yesterday who said, hey, I found some cups. Do you like them? And I went, no, thank you. But so we're going to hold out another month, and then I'm going to have to find another design that fits this bill. It's the thick diner cup that I want. And so I'm still looking. All right, so here we go. Got just a few more minutes. Let me show you how this is going to come together. It's not going to finish, but I'm going to put it in the auction. It's a Rube, and it's going to have a French press. It's going to have a funnel right here. There's going to be a funnel. So there's my funnel. So if I were doing this the hard way, I could go, okay, funnel is gone. All right, so I'm going to run it down like this, and the funnel needs a little tab on it that holds it to the wall like that, some screws. Remember, this is all stuck onto a wall, yes. That's how I built it, and then it's got some pipe fittings that come down. And then there's an elbow, and I love drawing plumbers type fittings There's an elbow, and this one comes out with a reducer valve. Oh, he's talking like he knows his plumbing stuff. And it's got a little thermometer on it that comes down like this. Okay. Oh, see, it's coming together already. And then it's got another little fitting that goes right in here. And this is just a tiny little T valve that runs out. And it runs up here into an elbow, a tiny little, maybe a 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch elbow. And then that's going to run up here. By the way, this has a little thing that holds it to the wall, screwed down right there. I always put little fasteners here. There's one over here, 2 screws in that one. Maybe just a little funnel lid right here with a flip lid. I love that. And it kind of looks like a toilet seat, but I think you get the idea. And then also here we have just a little box of sugar, sugar. There it is right there. These are little sugar cubes. And then you see this peep tumbling some of those sugar cubes with his little tongs into that. And he's got something that's kind of cool right here. He's got a shelf that he stands on. There it is right there. And that's screwed into the wall. And then there's my little peep right here. And he's got, okay, so there's the little, he's putting the sugar in way up here in the funnel so that when the hot coffee comes down into the funnel, it starts to evaporate, break up the sugar already. So for me, I'd take, okay, I got my sugar. There it is. So I marked that off on my list. So what you get into is you get into this concept of all the little parts. And this way I know I'm not missing too many as I come down. Okay, so here's my French press. And I'm coming down like this. Why French press? Because I still think it's the best way there is to make coffee. It beats perking. It beats any other way you've ever seen. It's just fabulous. It's marvelous. It's rich. If I'm going to have coffee, I want my coffee French press. Okay, so there, I said it. And this has got this little screen in here. This one's getting ready to run out already. So there, it's coming back past the screen. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to fasten this off to a little pulley up here. And then that's going to go around this pulley down here. And that pulley is going to go down here to this little lever. And this little lever is fastened on the wall. So you can see how I get into this stuff. And then there's this little lever that's here like this with the little, the little train lever. You gotta love those things. And then here is a little peep right here by the funnel. And this peep right here is in charge of pulling this lever, which tips this hinge over right here. There's a little spring that goes to a lock block right here. There's a little spring right there, so it'll spring back up. And there's a screw, so all that's fashioned in. So when he pulls it, that dumps into there, dumps the liquid into here. Then I've got to finish this fitting. And I won't have time to do this, but I'm going to stay at it for a few minutes if you want to stay with me. And if you got a question or two, I'll try to answer that. Other than, I love my Big Rube Diner mug. Thank you so much, Judy. I appreciate that. I love them too. You doctorate in wastewater management comes in handy for your roof paintings. Yeah, my PhD, my piled hip deep in knowing plumbing always comes in handy. Nothing, Jason, thank you for reminding me of that. And this is good for you to know in storytelling. No fact is wasted. No learned skill is wasted. You might say, I'm never doing that again. I mean, if you roll down the hill, there's a country in, is it in Ireland, maybe deep in the bowels of Ireland, if you can say that publicly, that they have a cheese roll. If you've never seen the cheese rolling competition, the championship of the world cheese rollers, and you go, I learned something from that. Like my collarbone never will heal, and my ear has cauliflowered, and I should never do this again. But I learned that. You should look up cheese rolling. It's fascinating. But Jason, nothing is ever wasted in storytelling. And so those times of past historical things, and you will always have building lines in your blood. Pat will always have cartoon critters and creatures. Denise will always have a dog in her painting somewhere. Chris Whitaker will always have gnomes in her painting somewhere. I just promise you it's going to happen. There's going to be one that sneaks in there somewhere because they're hidden behind things and they're pointing to things and they're, I think she says it really well. They don't speak, but they tell stories. And so whether you're a gnome fan or not, doesn't matter. Okay. I love it how you guys get on something as simple as saucering coffee. and you go, oh my gosh, what a great memory. And Patricia Hazel has 2 Roo cups. Dang it, if I break one, I'm calling you. But I'm working on it. Whoopsie, I just snorted, Laura said. Well, we didn't hear you. Okay. All right, so listen, August 13th, please write this down. August 13th is a live auction right here. Carol and I, Yaya and I will come jump in, and I'm going to throw in some fun things. I'm going to throw in a few of my old, yes, I brought them out, a few of my old actual rough outs, because, and I'm going to throw in some tinies. In fact, there's a fishing fly that I'll toss in. Here's a little green hummingbird that I'll toss in. Woo-hoo-hoo. I painted this walking through the mountains the other day. Tell me you can't paint on the trail. I was not only plein air, I was plain walking air. And so I painted this with a little micron pen that Joe Miller gave me, and I had my little water brush with me and my little Altoid palette. And so I just popped in a little, and there it happened. I've got a bee and a bluebird and another bluebird, but I also am going to pull some of these out. This is completely miscellaneous. And so some of these, there's a crab that'll go. It's crab time. I got to go back to Florida this year, paint some new crabs. I'm so tired of leftovers, it says. There's a carrot. Art, carry it on. Art, carry it on. There's a beet. Great little picture. This is, can you carry it over here? That's a southern statement there. That's rhubarb. I won't sell the rhubarb because nobody wants that. There's a little bluebird. There's a little wren saying, dang, blue jay. There's a grasshopper. There's a chickadee. Well, chickadee. There's a hummingbird, a robin. There's a red bird. Oh my gosh, all these are in here. I'm gonna take some of these. These are just songbirds that I painted, and these are gonna go inexpensively. This one, of course, is my favorite. When the man comes to town, hey, we need some seed out here. What are the words to that song, really? So some of these I'm gonna toss in the auction, but I gotta tell you about another auction. So this is my auction coming up, and there's some big paintings in there. There's some small ones. There's dragonflies. Oh my gosh, I got dragonflies like crazy that are going to go in the auction. Gosh, I had more than, and by the way, I found that one. That one's going to go to Patricia Evans. Patricia, if you're on the show, I found the dragonfly. Ta-da! There is a crow. There is, he's holding the basket now. There's a crow that's going to go. There's some roosters. There's the fly fishing anchor. There's big old Roo. Woohoo! There's another crow. Wow, I like that. There's a big old bluebird. There's some little birds. A lot of little paintings in this auction, which is kind of fun because people love little paintings and they love for them to take off and tell stories. And there's the kids out working on the rototiller. Here's one framed that says, shh, we're fishing. There's one. Oh my gosh. What do I have in here? Everything in this box. I hadn't even looked in here in a long time, so I'm looking now. Here's another one of these. It's a banjo picking Roo. Here's a big Roo. Yeah, there's some big paintings down in there too, okay? I'll have to argue with the fence post and celebrate. And so there you go. All right. So on Friday 13th, 8:57 p.m., I'm going to pop out some of these paintings. Carol will arrange 2 or 3 together because that's how I'm going to sell them. I'm not going to put a painting down like this and just say, oh, it's this much. I'm going to put probably 3 or 4 of these little fishing flies together so you can make an arrangement and just have some fun with them, and we'll put a price on them that they need to go. Now, that's on the 13th. That's for Roodoodles. That keeps Roo's lights on. That keeps my cameras geared up, which is about time to change one, can you tell? And so that's kind of the fun thing. I've got other pieces in here. Golly. This is what I hope your desk looks like, people. There's the owl. It's time to sell owl. I've got to paint a bunny, and I'll do that. There's a fishing fly. There's a dragonfly on this small little drawing paper. There's another cardinal. There's a ladybug on a pear, 8 weeks on pear. Okay. my point in telling you all that is that's Friday the 13th. Please spread the word. Would you do that? Would you make it fun and spread the word and get some people to know that you're going to be joining a fun auction, and it's going to be live. Now, I will see you again on the following Saturday morning, but I'm going to tell you about it now, but I'm really going to tell it on the 14th, on the 27th. So there's a lot of dates here. Auction is on the 13th, live auction on the 13th. I am going to, see, I'm reading a question. Lawnmower lemonade sale. I got 2 butterflies. I'm probably out, can't fast enough or high enough. How fun to watch, though. All right. What I'd like to do is on the 13th, yes, a bunny. Now I got to get my wallet out. Okay, so I got to do that bunnies. Bunnies have 4 legs, but thank you for reminding me, Randall Taylor Craven, but not the way I paint them, okay? I don't paint legs on bunnies. They're just the head. Okay. So 13th is the auction, 8:57 p.m. I'll note it. I'll paint next Saturday morning. That's the 14th. After that, on the 27th, special surprise. I'll tell you about it next week. Got some talent sending some artwork photos in so you can see some art. We're going to do an auction for David's Table, and it's a mission ministry. Whoa, that was my cash register just went off. It's a mission ministry for Skeeter Powell, who paints on this show and has for over 300 and something days with us. Great friend of mine. He works with some folks who travel differently than most of you and I. Most of them travel in special chairs, ones with wheels and some chariot-looking things, and some high-class wheelchairs that are just remarkable. Trust me, I've seen some of them. But they're going to go to a special camp that's made right for them. No boundary lines. They can roll right in the pool. They can roll right in the dining hall. It's just marvelous. And so we're helping raise some money for that. It's called David's Table, if you want to look it up, David's Table. And all these are not little kids. Some of these are kids that some small organizations have said, okay, we can handle you up to your 18th. These are some folks that still need support in their life, and that's what his calling is for. So we're going to do that auction on the 27th, and we've got a special group of artists sending some pictures in for that. I'm going to throw in some. Pat's going to throw in some. I've got Skeeter's folks throwing in a couple paintings. We're going to invite as many friends, families of David's Table, the board, any board you want to know, any people who want some special art and purchase some art for a good cause. That'll be it. Okay? So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. It's called Camp David, Skeeter said. Don't you love that name? It's Camp David. And so the organization is David's Table, but it's called Camp David, and it's coming up in the last part of September. So we're going to raise some money for them. Now, we don't know what COVID will do. And so if COVID holds the camp off, fine. They'll escrow the money, or he has my permission, and I know yours, to use it in any form of art he would like to do during the time until they can roll on their camp. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I am out of here like a herd of turtles. It has been fun being with you guys. I love painting with you. I'm glad I got to do some fishing flies. I will finish this Rube with all my little list in it, my list of fun things that I put in there this morning, like the fan, the funnel. The fan's going to be right in here. This is a stir that goes with the coffee sugar saucer stir. This is a bike crank. I got to have a bicycle in all your Rube Goldbergs. You got to have a bicycle crank. So I see, anyway, and then I got to have a Roo here holding his cup out and ready to have a cup. That's the way we all are. So Pat's got it. Hope everyone searches the couch for some extra change. Let me make a note of that, and I'll do a couch painting. Couch painting, bunny, Rube. Okay. All right. Thank you. Blessings to you all. It's been fun having you on the show. I don't even know how many days this is anymore. I quit counting. And and I've got to tear the studio down again and move it one more time. So I'll replace the camera. But it is what it is. And one of these days I'll show you behind the scene. Cashing in my change bucket. Woohoo! Love it, love it, love it. Keep telling those stories. Keep painting. And if you need me, I'll call you.